Hello everybody, this is me, ViGeeMan here, and welcome to episode 8 of ViGeeMan's adventure. Yes, we are finally at the plains. I'm so excited, I just want to build so bad, but first we need to clear it out. So, how I'm going to do this is, for some reason, digging out is like way too much work on my mind. I cannot speak like in this kind of form. Like I can talk to my friends and listen to stuff, but I can't like just talk out loud like I'm doing kind of right now while I'm digging. So basically I have to pre-record it and then, say it or record the voice as I'm doing right now without playing anything like Minecraft. I'm just sitting here right now, which is kind of unnatural for me to do this, but it feels good so far. So basically, you may be saying, well, why are you doing it quick speed? Like, it's 3 times as fast what you're seeing right now. And of course, I'm just looking at a screen that's like completely blank and it has nothing, so it's weird talking about it. But the reason I'm doing it is one, I'm going to take out the audio. So I can say, or I can listen to anything I want. Like, I can listen to a YouTube video, or like, talk to my friends. I can do really anything I want that way. And I don't have to talk. I mean, I can talk, but all the audio is basically going to be cut out. Episode wise, it's going to be so we're gonna get to the building faster. I want to do that. And and when I'm bored, just sitting around, I can go onto Minecraft and just record me digging it out, and I can do anything else, like listen to a video or anything. So I have like a ton of extra stuff, so I don't have to devote my time to go onto the ViGeeMan's adventure world and like walk somewhere. I can just like sit here and voice over. I mean, I still have to devote the time, but for some reason it seems a lot easier. And also, we'll get to the building faster because I'll clear it out 3 times as fast. As well as I can just sit and talk with no distractions. That's the big thing, because it's always been hard, because I think the reason, like, I think like in every episode, like maybe 10 minutes of it are me either saying or like silence, me trying to think, and also of things that happened in ViGeeMan's adventure, like something that's just happening in the world, like, a creeper blows up or something. It's like, no, don't chase me or whatever. That's happened a lot. But the cons of doing this is also, I have to do 3 times the work, but it's a lot less work because I can listen to whatever I want, and it's just the only thing I have to do is actually, play the game. And all the, like if I have to go AFK or something, I can just stop recording it, and like I would just say AFK to my friends or pause the video. It's not a big deal recording wise. And of course right now I'm home alone for like an hour or two, so it's perfect timing for recording. CSGO, I haven't done that yet. I said it in the last episode. Still, it's been a week since I've done anything with CSGO. I tried it like the day after, and I just wasn't feeling it that day. Like, I was like, hello everybody, it's like, welcome to CSGO, and I just didn't know what really to say. And also, I've been having bad matches. Basically, it's going to be like the 5 versus 5 competitive matches, single player thing. And also, what I've been trying to work out, and I think I got it, is a webcam. Like a webcam in the top left corner. I was going to do that for this ViGeeMan's adventure, but I think it would be better if we did it for CSGO. Because, it's kind of the start of a series and also the start of a webcam. I don't know if I'll do another series, but I'll definitely do it for CSGO. I'll make sure. Now, the UHC. I was talking about the UHC all of last episode. I thought I was going to do the archaeological controversies, but in UHC, I forgot to mention something. I've done a ton of UHCs, and the number one thing I noticed, and it kind of annoys me, but the thing I've noticed is that people always say, like I do this a lot. I mean, everyone does it. I mean, I'm not saying I don't, but people always say, like, if this had happened, then I would have won, or this would have happened, or this, or this. Like, I mean, lately I've been thinking about how, like, well, you don't, like, does everyone think about that way, and, like, what if kind of thing. Like, let's say okay, for instance, in the final battle of Season 4, Joey, like, me and Dayton were high health, were full health, and Joey and Blake were low health. And I remember them saying, I don't know, a few days later or something, if they were at full health, they would have won. Now, is that true? I don't know. Because, one, and this is true about every single, like, thing. It's like, oh, if I was at full health, or if I had only one more gold, or, like, we would have won. It's like, you don't know that. Like, for instance, like, in that battle, Joey may have not put down any lava. And also, in that battle, when I was fighting Blake, he got down to half a heart and he was running away from me as I was swinging at him. But if he had full health, he wouldn't be at half a heart. He'd be at, like, I don't know, 8 health, like 4 hearts or something, and he would have still been fighting me. And there's, like, a ton of factors, and also, if you're at full health, we probably wouldn't have stalled it that much. We probably would have just gone at each other because we both had full health and they didn't have the health disadvantage. I mean, they had the bow advantage, but no, I don't think anyone got hit by the bow at all. So, like, that has always been a thing since the first UHC that has been said a ton. It's like, oh, if I didn't do this, or, like, I mean, sure, it's likely. In some situations, it's extremely likely, but we don't know. And that's what frustrates me, is because, like, I mean, I do it still, and I'm trying to stop, but it frustrates me where, like, you don't know if that would happen. Like, maybe if you're at full health, it would happen, but you can't say it so assuredly that, like, even if I say, well, maybe not, you can't just say, no, we would have won. Because it's true. Maybe not. Maybe you wouldn't have won. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I got in second, or it's like, oh, if I only had, one more golden apple, or if I hadn't gotten hit by half a heart. I mean, there's big what ifs, and there's little what ifs, and that, like, that's just always frustrated me, and I'm trying to stop that. I think I've gotten better at that. Like, I wanted to say, like, so bad. It's like, oh, I almost had this, and we would have beaten you, but I was like, no, no, we don't know that. Don't know that. So, anyway, I need to write down something real quick. Okay, so, archaeological controversies. Now, of course, this is controversial stuff. So, of course, this is only, like, this is stuff that I believe is true. Okay, these are from many sources that I've compared together. Like, I've done research on this. This is what I did all yesterday, because I'm recording on Saturday. I made the whole plan where, I'd plan on Friday, record on Saturday, and then do it on Thursday, or and upload on Sunday. So I was doing this whole, like, I've done a ton of things figuring out and, like, seeing both sides of the story. And at the end of each one, it's the top 8 archaeological controversies. And at the end of each one, I'll say, like, uh, if I believe it or not, in a way. Of course, this is my own opinion. And I was saying this at the end of episode 6, I believe. No, episode 5. The one where I ran out of recording space. Not the one where I didn't upload it, but the one, like, it was like 5 seconds at the end. It was the one where I showed the 3 planes and people voted on. I think that was 5. So, like, it annoys me especially. I think when people say you're wrong for something you believe in, like, I am the type of person in almost every controversial thing, so I'm completely neutral because I don't want to get into it. Like, the two biggies that probably everyone knows is religion and politics. You don't, like, if you can't have an argument with someone, or you can't talk to someone about it if they have opposite beliefs in whatever, either of the two, or anything really. Like, there are a certain category of topics that you can't talk about without having an argument. Like, there's no, like, logical, oh, let's have a compromise thing. That never happens in religion or politics. It's like, either I'm right or you're wrong, kind of thing. So, so these are my beliefs, but if you call someone else stupid for believing that, then that is just, like, socially wrong because they believe it. Can you prove them wrong? If you can, prove them wrong. And then the other person that believed it should act in a good way. It's like, oh, okay. And then the person that proved them wrong shouldn't act like, haha, you were wrong. You're stupid for that way. Like, I mean, you can express your beliefs to other people and you can have a valid argument, but when you call them wrong, that is where it gets, like, not right and tricky. So anyway, controversies. The top 8 archaeological controversies. I was gonna do top 10, then top 9, but then I just decided on 8 because the two that I had decided for the other ones, those weren't that really good. It was like 10 and 9. They were like not that cool sounding. So, first one. I have no idea how you say this. It's a city in Mexico, but the Acambaro figures. If you've heard of them, that's pretty cool. In 1944, in Acambaro, Mexico, there was a local farmer that was riding his horse out in the desert because people just randomly do that. He was probably doing something, and he found a small little hole, and he found this little tiny ceramic figure of what appeared to be some strange-looking like animal, like a dinosaur type of thing. Then he kept digging, dug like a small hole, and he kept finding more and more of them. So then he hired someone else to... Crap, I just died. Are you kidding me? Freaking creeper. Of course a creeper gets me. I had 22 levels. You little witch. You're gonna die by a spoon. Yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. Die. Crap. Now I only have 7 levels. So I've just been recording this crap. And I can't just make a note for me to edit that in. Crap. Well, first death. Whatever. Just gonna have to live with it. Oh, back to speeding up. Dig up the rest of it and dig up all of it. And in the end, they found 32,000 of these small little tiny ceramic figures. What? 32,000 of these little... They're like these little figures that could fit in like a 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch box. Like, there's the smallest things ever. And, and there's 32,000 of them. And there's and there's people and dinosaurs, and they're all depicted from around the earth, um, like they're found in Mexico. So like there's like animals that were found in Asia and like in Australia and these places that are so far away from Mexico that it's like kind of raises an eyebrow kind of thing. And there's these dinosaurs that are extremely detailed that like are firsthand, like supposedly, like, it's with such detail that only someone with a first-hand experience could have drawn it. That's kind of like, controversial in that way. Like, I'm sure I can think of some random shape, and I'm sure it could be like a dinosaur. But because there's so many types of dinosaurs, but still, there's 32,000 of them. Each one, like, or most of them. I'm sure, like, some of them are imaginary, but most of them depicting very closely to a dinosaurs that we know of. And if this were all real, okay, so first let me tell you the dates. So, using thermoluminescence, if you don't know what that is, they flash a light at it, and, like, in that moment, it's, like, heated, I believe, and, like, in that moment, you can, like, tell the date. Somehow you can tell the date. I learned this, but then I completely forgot about it. So, using thermoluminescence, they discovered that each one is like around 200 or 2500 BC, which is a pretty long time ago. And using radiocarbon dating, it's 6500 to 1500 BC. So, like in that time range. But the thing is there's no worn on them or no wear and tear on them, which makes sense. I mean, they're in the desert and they're like in a hole in the desert. That just makes sense. But but still, for 32,000, none of them are like worn. And how do you get clay that's like, or okay, yeah, thermoluminescence is more accurate. It's only for pottery because when like the clay is like hardened, like into a ceramic thing, when it's hardened, uh, it it like sets a timer, like resets a timer, and then as it's going, and then when it's reheated with that flash of light, it resets the timer again. But you can tell how long it was from when you flashed it and when it was first made. So like 2500 BC, that was a long time ago. And supposedly many creationists, like this is like one of their proofs that that God created everything, and creationists, because I mean it's like 2500 BC. That's around like the beginning of the world, kind of thing. So how I believe it, are they a hoax and were they just made? Because that's kind of hard to do, to make something, and like depictions, I don't think it's likely. Like, I mean, sure, they could have made them all over the world. Like, I mean, some of them are different clays of different areas, I forgot to tell you that. And like they could have made it all over the world, and then some guy in like, this is in 1944 that they discovered it. So like some guy in like the 1800s flew around the world like collecting these things from everywhere, and just dug the hole. I guess they should like date when the hole was dug, but I don't think you can really do that. But if they could, I'm sure that would like prove it. Because if someone had just like in the 1800s like dug a hole and put them all there, so no, I don't think that. I think they were all made at 2500 BC. I don't think they were all in Mexico at 2500 BC. I think they were everywhere, and someone, you know, put them in Mexico. Some guy. Number 7. No, like the 32,000, that's kind of amazing, but there's number 7. They're called the Drapa Stones. I guess that's how you would call it. 1938, the Pankaraola Mountains in China, which is like in the Tibet area of China. Like I think that's what I wrote, but I'm not sure. Or like Hiblet. I don't know. But there was caves at the summit of this mountain, and there was a bunch of graves of people with elongated heads. So that's already weird. Like elongated heads, like like the back of their head is pulled out, which is kind of weird. And there's a bunch of carvings of the sun and the moon and the stars in like carved on their bones, and they're all like 3 feet tall with a huge head. And in each of them, there's a 12-inch diameter coin with a hole in the center and like spiral, like spiral legs coming from the center. There was 716 stones, like these, coins, these Joppa stones. There were 716 of them, and later someone figured out, I forgot the year, but someone figured out that the spirals were in some type of ancient language, like we still don't know how to decipher it, kind of thing. Like around the center, like the spirals were words. So there's a ton of claims because this is from 12,000 BC is when these were dated. I don't know how, but they were probably using thermoluminescence. But 12,000 BC, people claim that there were aliens because, in 12,000 BC, there was a ton of hunting and gathering. So if someone were to bury their dead and, take the time to carve, sun and moon, that's, pretty strong religious stuff for 12,000 BC. And, making these coins, that's pretty sketchy. Especially when they were dated then. So the fact that they were even made is pretty surprising in 12,000 BC. So people have claimed that, aliens landed, and they were called Droppa because, that is what the people, they're supposedly from a tribe that the Ham tribe killed them all and buried them in the mountains. It's supposedly the story. I don't think that's really, the Ham tribe in 12,000 BC killed the Droppa tribe and buried them in the mountains. Which is kind of strange, but. And these 716 stones have been disappearing all around the world, but there are pictures of them. There's 3 of them that we still know of that are physically there. All the others are just not there, which is kind of strange. So we have pictures of them. Do I believe this? Now the dating thing is what worries me. Okay, you little phone caller. Okay, 1 second. Sorry about dating, big. So that was just my aunt calling because we had just had Thanksgiving with her and she had just gotten back to her house and she just wanted to call me, let her know. So okay, we're on do I believe number 7. Do I believe the drop of stones? What really worries me is, 12,000 BC, that surprises me. That, there's no way, it could have been made. 716 of them, and it's kind of spiritual. The carvings could have happened, way later. And, but the stones were made in 12,000 BC, so maybe there's, some civilization or some, we thought the agricultural revolution and all this, big advancement stuff happened in, 10,000 BC. Or 9 to 8,000, or 8 to 9,000 BC. But maybe there was some. I don't think it's aliens. Why would aliens come down and why would aliens come down and make these stones with our materials? If aliens could have come, they would have way more advanced stuff than us to get to us. So they wouldn't just make these stones and stuff. That's pretty weird that they have they're 3 feet tall and have these elongated heads, but the carvings could happen, but the stones, maybe I'm guessing that there was we just haven't discovered yet. Maybe there's a scientific what would you call it? I'm trying to think of the name. A scientific yeah, a species, a new species of human that I don't know, that there was just another form that went its own way. This is in China, so it went its own way in 13,000 BC or whatever, and it was way more advanced than Homo sapiens, or way more advanced than just us people in general. and they were there for a long time. I mean, it's in the summit or at the top of the mountain, so like maybe no one ever went up there except them, and they like thrived, and they were more advanced than us. Like they thought about all this like claymation and stuff. That's animation, like clay making and like ceramic stuff and making these stones. Maybe they were just more advanced than us, and then they all died out, and they were just weirdly deformed. Maybe because of their environment, or they were just like one guy was born with a defect, and he was kind of rejected, but then he lived on in the mountains, or what? Some like I don't think it's aliens. Basically, what I'm saying. So before we get to number 6, that my call from my aunt, I noticed something, and it's a story. So my aunt, or okay, just calls in general. Whenever I call somebody, and someone like okay, I'm in a phone call. At the end, I don't hang up until they've hung up. It's something weird about me. I don't know why I do it, but I basically do that. Like if they call, I don't I don't like, I don't hang up until they hang up, and if they don't hang up, then it's normally kind of strange. So my one time I was calling somebody. I don't know. I called somebody that I haven't really ever talked to, and apparently they did the same thing. And so we were just sitting there, and I was waiting for the hang up sign, and then he says, "Hello." So I just hang up. That's the first time I ever like hung up before somebody. I think maybe I've done it like that's the first time I remember doing it. I may have done it other times, but that's just the weird thing about me that I wanted to share. So, number 6 is the horned human skull. So in the 1880s, we don't know the exact date, but in the 1880s in Pennsylvania, not clear the year, don't know why, but someone in Sayre, Pennsylvania, found a large burial ground. So like they make the just mounds of dead bodies and then pour dirt on them, and that's not that unusual. But in this pile, there was a strange pile of horned skulls. They're normal sized skull, but 2 inches above the eyebrows, they were there's these horns that were you know, like 3 inches high, but 2 inches above the eyebrows. But all the skeletons seemed to be very tall, like 7 feet. So it's a normal sized skull, but they were like 7 feet tall, and they were supposedly buried in the 1200s, like 1200s AD. And they're not the only ones. In the 1800s, in New York and Texas, they were found, and people don't understand how this could have happened, but people believe that it was uh, a bull and humans doing it, and the baby, so, or something like that. Do I believe these are true? No, I don't. Because, people back then in the 1200s are advanced enough to form these horned skulls. Like, maybe it was like a science project. Then they like buried them, and it's like, oh, maybe in the future people will think there was an ancient thing. Like just a prank thing. I don't think they're real. I think they're real skulls, but I don't think they're and buried at that time period. But I don't think they're like actually people with horns. That'd be kind of freaky. I don't think there's the bull thing because I don't think it would look like that. Like 7 feet tall. Horn things. Like I don't think that's the only thing they would get from the bull kind of thing. So, number 6 was very short. In number 5 is the map of the creator. Now, in 1999, a professor in Russia, his name is Shevarov, was called to the backyard of Vladimir, because it's in Russia, so makes sense, of Vladimir. I'm not going to say their last names. And there was in Vladimir's backyard, there was a strange slab in his backyard, and this is good for Chukovarov. Oh God, sorry. um, this is good for him because he had been searching for slabs, and just like similar slabs, just hidden in people's like a property or just in the wilderness. It's like had interested him. I guess it was his thing, or he had like a fetish. So this slab was so huge, it took a week to take out. It was 5 by 3.5 feet. It was like a big slab and a half a foot thick. It weighed a ton, like an actual ton, like not a metaphor wise, but an actual ton. And supposedly, it is a map of the region that it was found, a Ural region map. Like that's in Russia. That's the Ural region, and it was a relief. It wasn't like a map. It was a relief. Like there was mountains and like valleys and stuff. But what's even more interesting is that it showed dams and like elevation. Like it had contour lines, I believe. Yeah, contour lines, and it showed farms and irrigation like paths and high protection walls and inscriptions thought they were Chinese, but we still can't read them. And it's dating supposedly, I don't really think this is true, 100 million years old. Whew. But we can't say exactly because only we can't say this exactly because that's a very long time to date stuff. Because I mean, humans supposedly are only 7 million years old in science. So, but of course, you can't do that from ground level. You can't just like look around and see. You would have to fly in order to see this. So it's very interesting that okay, one, it's 100 million years old. I don't believe that. I honestly just don't believe that. That just sounds way too crazy. But the other stuff I could believe, like it's this huge slab and someone had to fly around. And of course, in the Ural region, there are no dams, there are no high walls or farms or irrigation. There's no signs of them. So, this could have been like, the people that like plan out their areas by making little models. This could have been like a model. Like, hey, I want to build a dam here, and I want to like build this irrigation farm thing here, and like, have like these elevation marks to show it. Like I don't think the date's right, but I mean, it could have been like a pre-planned thing for what could have become of the region, and then it didn't, and then it was just like thrown out, even though it's like this 1 ton thing. So I don't think the date's right, but I think that it could have been. I don't think it's like aliens that came 100 million years ago and like could fly around and like made a relief map of the region, what they were going to build there, because all the inventions or all the things that were very human-esque, like a dam. Like I don't think that, like I mean, aliens would have built it, but it looks exactly like the Hoover Dam, and like the irrigation and the farms and the elevation are exactly like our elevation, just in a different language that we still can't read. We thought it was Chinese, but it's not. Number 4. Yeah, number 4 is the Las Lunas Decalogue Stone. In the 1880s, once again in the 1880s, because we have no idea what the year is. In the 1880s, there was a large boulder. Like, I mean, it's a boulder. So we're not gonna move it. It's a boulder. It's a large boulder in the side of the hidden mountain. Very ironic. It's called the Hidden Mountain, and it's believed to be Paleo Hebrew kind of thing, like a before Hebrew languages of the Ten Commandments. It's believed this because it has Now, I mean, we can't read it. It's like it kind of has Hebrew, like has Hebrew-esque kind of language to it, but we can't really read it. So it's believed to be the Ten Commandments because it has the word Yahweh four times in it, and it's believed not to be forged because Hebrew wasn't known in the 1880s in uh in the Hidden Mountain region. I forgot this. I should have written the country. I don't know why I didn't write the country. Completely forgot. But in the Hidden Mountain region, people didn't know Hebrew there, and no one traded. This is like a very remote place. So why would? So it kind of makes sense, you know. It's in the mountain, like uh, Moses. Yeah, Moses like went up with his 10 Commandments in the mountains where no one else was. You know, kind of remote. Kind of makes sense in a way. And it's thought fake because it has a Hebrew modern punctuation, but it weighs over 80 tons, so it's not going to be in any museum, so you have to actually go there. Oh, it's in New Mexico. Yeah, it's in New Mexico. You can pay $25 to see it from the New Mexico State Land Office. It never said any date. All that I researched about it was the Lost Lunas thing. It doesn't show any date, so I think it's a hoax. And it's like in some really bad version of Hebrew, like someone like they got the Yahweh and they got the punctuation, but I don't think anybody like knew it. Uh, it's not thought to be forged though because no one knew Hebrew in the 1880s in that region in New Mexico. They didn't know Hebrew in the 1880s. So it's not thought to be forged because they discovered it in the 1880s and they didn't know Hebrew in the 1880s. So how could it be real? Well, I mean, but the thing is, it weighs over 80 tons. So how could someone have written it not knowing? But I mean, sure, an immigrant could have done it, and they could have done like a uh some form of really bad Hebrew, except with like the new really bad form of Hebrew, except it's the what am I trying to say? Like the modern punctuation in Yahweh, like it has all that. It's just extremely bad version of it. So I think someone made it up completely. Like in the 1880s, before the 1880s, some immigrant that knew Hebrew, some really bad form of Hebrew, but he got the punctuation concept in Yahweh. He rewrote the Ten Commandments on a boulder up there just to like mess with people, or maybe he wanted to like start a new religion that's like sprouted off of uh Christianity or Judaism. I think it's both actually. Yeah. So number 3 is the Piri Reis map. I think that's how you say it. It's in 1929. It's found in the top cap question mark. Like that's actually a thing. It's top cap question mark. That's like the name of it. Palace in Turkey. It was the restoration in 1929, and it's the earliest map of the Americas drawn on a gazelle skin, like the animal, on a gazelle skin in 1513, because it's dated on the thing, and it has the name of an Ottoman military admiral. It has a very and the thing is, it's the earliest map of Americas. That's great, but like that's not really big. But but um but the weird thing is it shows Antarctica, and supposedly the first Antarctica sighting was in 1820, but and and it But it's the thing is, okay, let me try to say this. He found it in 1513, and it showed without ice. Like it has no ice. It's like it's like it's like Iceland. It's like not covered in ice. It's just like a green mound. It's an island that's not covered in complete ice. But history says that it's been covered in ice for over 6,000 years. So what's the deal? How do we what? So it's earlier than Christopher Columbus and the Vikings, supposedly. It's the first drawn map of Americas. So that's pretty cool. But it's like the Atlantic Ocean region, and it also shows Antarctica without ice. Personally, I think it just shows Antarctica, and he just didn't want to draw in the ice part. Like, it's just like that's the shape. And he probably just told people that's covered in ice and just didn't write it down on the map. Or show it on the map. Like this is like signed by him, and it's like it is dated to 1513. So, and it's in the top kept palace in Turkey. I don't know why it's said like that, like a question mark. So I think he just drew Antarctica with ice. He just didn't explain on paper that it's covered in ice. But the fact that he saw it is pretty phenomenal. Or maybe he just guessed that there was a landmass down there. Because, I mean, he knew there was a landmass up top. So why isn't there one down there? Which makes sense. But I don't know. I don't think he didn't just make it not covered in ice. If he even saw it. Okay. One of my teeth is hurting for some reason. But number 2. This was going to be number 3, but it's number 2. The Giants of North America. Pretty cool. So, in North America, there has been many giants, giant people. 7 to 12 feet tall. That's what the giants are classified as. There's found in California with 12 feet tall in 1833. Then soldiers digging for powder magazines found some giants in some 10-foot and 3¼ foot giants in 1895 with a double row of teeth. Oh, actually 1856 with a double row of teeth. And then in a vineyard in 1895, there were 11-foot ones. And then in Ohio, there was a mound of 20 of these guys, each 12 feet tall and huge jaws. In 1928, there was a 90 foot? Oh yeah, there was there was a stretch of land that was 90 feet long. Every 5 feet, buried a giant that was 8 to 10 feet tall. So that's pretty cool. But people believe that maybe they're Sasquatches. We still haven't dated them, which is strange. Maybe we just can't or something. But people maybe Sasquatches, or people believe maybe Sasquatches are just the answer. Ancient humans, Atlantis in the desert, because these are all like deserty areas, California, except Ohio. That's kind of weird, but in Louisiana. But like these are kind of remote areas, so like Atlantis in the remote areas, and some found with like unknown skins of animals. It's just a whole bunch of things. Like if it was a more specific kind of story, I'd believe it. But since one, they haven't dated it, which makes like a huge difference in me believing it. But number 2 is that one moment. Okay. Number 2, so 1, it's not dated, and 2, it's just I mean, it's genetically possible. I mean, there's a 9-foot tall guy in China right now. I don't know I forget his name, but I mean, he's like 9 feet tall. I mean, that's possible. And genetically, maybe in the future, or in the past, it was more possible. Maybe just like using medications now, it's like less possible. I don't know. The unknown skins, that just seems like a hoax. Like, it's just like, it's kind of like a footnote at the end of one of them that it had unknown skins of animals. That's kind of probably not true. Sasquatches, that's entirely possible. I mean, we haven't still genetically found out what it was. So, I mean, that's still entirely possible. I mean, Sasquatches could be possible. Are there? We don't know. I mean, there's a ton of controversy just surrounding that. So, I think it's has some real aspect to it, but like it's just been hyped up too much. But that's number two. Number one, most controversial archaeological find ever, in my opinion, is the Shroud of Turin. Most of you have probably heard of it. Makes like as soon as I describe it, you may have heard of it as well. But it's a linen cloth that's 14 or 11, 14 and a quarter foot long, 3 feet and 7 inches wide, and it supposedly has the image of Jesus Christ on it, its full body, and it's kept in the chest in the Chapel of Holy Shroud, and not believed that this cloth was laid over Jesus after he's dead and his crucifixion. And it says the cloth is woven in 12,600 or or like 12,600 AD to 13,900 AD. So, it's way after supposedly Jesus died, but it's believed that he's still there. And, oh, okay, there's my paper. Alright. Now, this is extremely controversial in many ways. One, it involves religion, which is in its own right controversial. To some people, it's less controversial than others. And in other ways, like, dude, even if a guy was dead for like 1,200 years, okay, well, basically imagine just look it up for one. Two, if you're interested. Two, it's an image that shows the blood marks, like the blood marks of where a hole would have been punched through his wrist. Oh god, I don't want to even think about that. When he was like, crucified, and like there's these different cuts on him that like go with the like the biblical stories of Jesus, like like a cut of when something happened, so or so happened, like a scar, and it shows his eyes, and there's been many, dispute over this, even if it's just real or not. Is it even possible, kind of thing? So it's challenged for a sample of the blood test as a restored piece, because some of the woven cloth is restored, but none of the part with actually blood and like the relief structure on it. And now, as a restored piece, now it's challenged for a sample. Now, Pope Pius the I think that's the 7th or the 12th, either one, approved of the face, saying that it was Jesus in 1898. But I mean, like, did he know him? Probably not. But and Pia took a picture. Pia in this was in 1898. Pia II took the first picture of this, but he put it in a filter. I forget the filter, but it changed it so the creases of the paper would show more freely. And this like at first it looks just like a linen cloth with a few blood marks and maybe a faint face, that maybe you would notice. But as soon as they took this picture, is a famous picture that everybody sees of this this very detailed, like the arms crossed over and just everything like that. And using this, they've made a 3D image of the face and the body, and it looks a lot like what's described in the Bible. But it's also unaligned with the body proportions made in the Bible. Like all the marks and like blood marks are the same, but like supposedly his arms are longer and his legs are shorter than in like normal things. But people say that's because of the crucifixion. Like, his weights bearing on his wrists and his arms became longer or something. And that makes more controversy. And then, but even the cloth could have changed in a way. People are saying that the cloth could have changed in any way. So it's a very controversial topic. Do I think it's real? I think it is a person that either looks a lot like Jesus Christ, went through the same way. Do I think it's Jesus? That is a very complicated question. Is it? I don't know. That's just the controversy of it. But I think it is a guy that it is either Jesus or it's a guy that looks a lot like Jesus and went through a lot of the same things, and it's just like a little bit different in a way. So that is the top 8 archaeological controversies. My throat hurts, but I don't know how long I've been recording, so I'm going to keep on going. And also, the good pros about this is I can talk as long as I want. If I want to talk for an hour and 30 minutes, I don't have a destined point to get to. Like, I don't have to, I have to get there, I don't know what to talk about. Like, if I just want to stop, I can just stop. Because I can stop the speed up thing that you're seeing right now at any time. So, so there was 3 questions because I was kind of running low on topics because I knew the controversies thing wouldn't take too long. I think I've been doing this for like 30-40 minutes. I don't know. I know I've been doing it for at least 26 minutes because that's the last time I checked the clock, and that's the time it is now. So, some questions. There was 3 topics that Tim gave to me because I was just like, give me topics. Am I going to travel soon, and where? Off the topics of all like this controversial stuff, am I going to travel soon, and where? If so, where? Well, I'm thinking of my family is. I can't just go anywhere I want, but I'm thinking, or okay, my family is thinking of going to Richmond for my mom's birthday, which is in the middle of January. Ah, crap! I dropped a pen. So like we're thinking of going to Richmond. It's gonna be pretty fun. Just see the attractions, see the historical stuff. My dad's into big historical stuff and everything. Important. What is something that is important to me, but most people neglect? I've noticed that what people normally don't like that I like is like just staying out of conversations. Like I personally just want to, like if somebody's saying something, I don't say a lot of stuff. I don't go against somebody. I always want people to be happy. And most people I've noticed have neglected that fact. Like if someone says something they don't believe, then like once again they go to the they either argue them like very fiercely saying that they are completely wrong in a way. That's something that I feel that people neglect, just that like respect for someone else's beliefs. And that's true, you can see that everywhere. In the life of a Steven. So, what do you think is an invention that will become popular in the next 50 years and fall out in the next 50 years? I think what's going to be cool is holograms. Think like a hologram phone that kind of goes out, and like a hologram thingamabopper, and like, holograms are going to be the new thing. Like, like an Iron Man, Jarvis, like that. You're like moving around the blue parts, and you like zoom in and using your hands, and like it's going to be cool. What I think it's going to go away is voice activation. It's an invention that people like. It just doesn't work. Like, because so many people have different accents and different like ways they say a thing, like, grammar wise. Like if you say, "How are you doing today?" or "Hey, how's your day going right now?" Those are asking the same exact thing, except different accent and different ways, and people could like interpret that different way. So I think voice activation is gonna go down, unless you're told that you have to say "fire" or whatever. If you say "fire," then that just comes down to the accent thing, and it has to be simple words. You can't be like philosophy. You can't tell one guy to say it and then the other guy say it, because their accents will be completely different. And it's a long word with tons of different types of syllables. And of course, the language thing, that's a big thing too. You have to incorporate it in every other language. Oh my gosh, phone. One moment again. I am back. So much backness. So yeah, voice activation, that's gonna go down. So, my mom just called, seeing how things were going. Pretty good, pretty good. So, um, so yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I think this is gonna been like 50 minutes maybe to an hour. Hopefully it's been an hour. I like when it's an hour and not shorter. That's kind of like my minimum in my mind, but I mean, it doesn't matter if it's shorter. And probably with those cuts in between, it's gonna make it shorter. So, I don't know what point I'm at in the digging, but I don't know what I'm gonna do, because once it's all done, hopefully it's at like the end of an episode. Because if it's all done, then it's like in the middle of me talking. What do I do? Do I just keep talking and it's like a frozen image of the last, like, like I'll probably do like a frozen image of like it's finally dug out kind of thing. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to once it's all at 63. Remember, I'm gonna have to put in the canals. The canals are gonna be seven blocks wide, I think. Pretty sure. Maybe 5. No, 7. 7. So they're gonna be 7 blocks wide, and it's gonna be these canals, and like the bridges going over and stuff. And so it's gonna be 7 blocks wide. So I don't know. Like, I'll probably do that once I'm done with digging out that canal. Like, I'll plan it out, and like, that'll all be in speed mode. Placing down blocks where the canals are gonna be, and then I'm gonna dig it out. And then once that's all complete, then if that's in the middle of an episode, I think I'll just cut the episode. Or no, I can't do that because I don't know, because I'm just talking. But I'll freeze the image there to like what the final thing looks like. And also, before I go, last thing I wanted to say is that the like all you've seen me cut down trees in this, and like now the hills kind of look bare. I'm gonna put a ton of trees on there. That's gonna be the finished project, or like one of the finishing touches. Like, plant a bunch of trees and grow them so it looks like a forest, and I never cut down anything, but really I did. And by the way, in Venice, each house will serve a purpose. Like, it'll look decorative, but then in the basement of those houses, they'll all be interconnected, and in the basement of each of those houses has a different purpose. I think that's going to be pretty cool. And I'll have another episode I'm just spraying out information that's just popping into my mind. But in like I'll start building everything. But if it becomes a problem, if it doesn't, it's all good. But if it becomes a problem, I will. There's going to be this there's going to be this place, or right at like level 3 or level 5, I'll like dig right under the whole area of Venice. The whole area of Venice, I'll dig this like 5 this 3 high chamber that's just fits like it's a square, and inside could fit my area of Venice with the walls. So basically all the mobs, and it'll be unlit, so all the mobs can just spawn down there, and I won't have to worry about it. I want to, because like all the mobs can spawn down there. There'll be very few mobs that spawn up, because it's 3 high, so Enderman can stay there. And also Withers, but that wouldn't happen. So, thank you all for watching ViGeeMan's Adventure Episode 8. I've enjoyed this. My throat really hurts now. For some reason, it hurts a lot more than what it is when I'm just doing regular ViGeeMan's Adventure. Not the speed up thing. But whatever. Thank you all for watching. Comment some topics, because now that I don't have these controversies, I don't know what I'll think of. But if nobody says anything, I'll come up with something, and hopefully it'll be interesting. But it always helps. And I will see you guys in the next ViGeeMan's Adventure or any other episode. Bye.